Hello students, in the last presentation I have discussed with you all about a type approach. Today in this presentation I'll be covering the trait approach, Gordon Alport's theory, Cattell's theory, Eysenck's theory, five-factor theory of personality, and interactional approach. Trait approach. So trait approach is an improvisation. Okay, so this was actually an antidote to type approach because it talked about the uniqueness, the consistency, the characteristics of people, their strengths, and the combinations in which different categories appear together. So these theories are mainly concerned with the description or characterization of basic components of personality. So they try to discover the building blocks of personality. The trait approach attempts to identify primary characteristics of people. A trait is considered as a relatively enduring attribute or quality on which one individual differs from another. So for example, shyness is a trait. So one person may be less shy whereas another may be more. Or one person may be less friendly whereas another may be more. So here shyness and friendliness represent traits along which individuals can be rated in terms of the degree of presence or absence of the concerned behavioral quality or a trait. Okay, so the characteristics of traits are relatively stable over time and they are generally consistent across situations. So whatever be the situation, a person who is less shy will be it any situation, he or she will be entirely having a little amount of shyness. Their strengths and combinations vary across individuals, leading to individual differences in personality. Okay. Now see, there are a number of psychologists who have used traits to formulate their theories of personality. So let us see the theories of trait given by different psychologists. And first we will see Gordon Alport's trait theory. Now Gordon Alport is considered the pioneer of trait approach, and he proposed that individuals possess a number of traits which are dynamic in nature. So they determine behavior in such a manner that an individual approaches different situations with similar plans. So what he says is that according to Gordon Alport, he says that any individual will approach any situation and even to different situations with same kind of plannings in their mind. So according to Gordon Alport, the traits integrate stimuli and responses which otherwise look dissimilar. So Alport argued that the words people use to describe themselves and others provide a basis for understanding human personality. So he analyzed the words of English language to look for traits which describe a person, and with that he has categorized traits into cardinal, central, and secondary traits. Now let us see what are these traits. First, cardinal traits. So cardinal traits are highly generalized dispositions. So they are highly pervasive and generalized and indicate the goals around which an individual's life revolves. Okay. So for example, Mahatma Gandhi's non-violence and Hitler's Nazism, these are the cardinal traits for them. Now we cannot say that non-violence was given by Hitler or that Nazism was given by Mahatma Gandhi. because the whole point of non-violence revolves around one individual, and that is Mahatma Gandhi. Likewise, the whole point of Nazism revolves around the life of Hitler. That is why it is a Hitleri trait. Next, it is central trait. Now, central traits are less pervasive in effect but still quite generalized in nature. So, for example, warm, sincere, diligent. So, these are the central traits. And we often use these traits for writing a job recommendation or in our resume. So, if you have to describe yourself, that what kind of a personality do you possess, so in that way maybe someone might write in their job testimony that I'm very warm, I'm very sincere, I'm honest, I'm diligent. So these are the central trait revolving around that person, which is less pervasive in nature. Okay, but still it is very much generalized in this position because maybe that same quality the other employee might also have. It is different from that of cardinal trait. Okay, then last it is the secondary traits. Now secondary traits, these are least generalized and commonly found in various people, and it cannot be made on the basis for differentiating personalities of people. So with the secondary traits, it is very common in every people and we cannot differentiate based on the secondary traits. For example, traits like uh, preferring ethnic clothes, liking mangoes, then like black dresses. So these are very common, isn't it? There might be so many people who like mangoes, so many people liking ethnic clothes, so many people who likes black dresses. So that is why these traits are regarded as secondary traits, which are commonly found in various people. Next, under the trait theory, we have Cattell's theory, trait-based personality factors. So Raymond Cattell, the name of the psychologist who has given this personality factors, he was Raymond Cattell, who believed that there is a common structure on which people differ from each other, and this structure could be determined empirically. Empirically means step by step in this case. So he tried to identify the primary traits from a huge array of descriptive adjectives found in language, and he applied a statistical technique called factor analysis to discover the common structures. And he found 16 primary or source traits. Now the source traits are stable and are considered as the building blocks of personality. And besides this, there are also a number of surface traits that result out of the interaction of source traits. Now this source traits and surface traits, just try to understand it in a simple language, that source traits are stable and are considered as the building blocks of personality, and the surface traits are the result out of the interaction of the source traits. Okay, so Cattell described the source traits in terms of opposing tendencies, and with that he developed the test called 16 Personality Factor Questionnaire, 16PF, for the assessment of personality. This test is widely used by psychologists. Now for this 16 personality factor, I will show you certain source traits and surface traits which becomes easy for you all to understand. Okay, and it is in opposing tendencies like that of, for example, extrovert, introvert, Okay, humble, impolite. So these are some of the opposing tendencies in which this source trace and surface trace revolve around. I'll show you. Now see, this is what I was talking about, the Cattell's 16 personality factor. And here clearly we can see the source traits which are stable and are considered as the building blocks of personality. Okay, and the 16 personality factor test which was developed, these are basically the source traits. And with the source traits, the surface traits are the result out of the interaction of these source traits. So here we can see the opposing tendencies of the traits, like that of the first one we can see reserved to that of outgoing, and the factor it has is that of warmth. Then with intelligence, we have the opposing tendencies again, that of less intelligent and more intelligent. Then there is boldness with shy and venturesome as its opposing tendencies. So like this, we have the 16 factors which describe the personality of an individual. So this test is widely used by psychologists even today, even in the clinical background, even by many employers to employ the uh, to check the personality of an employee. Okay, so with this 16 PF, it becomes easy to check the personality, overall personality of an individual, that whether a person is shy or venturesome, whether a person is sober or happy-go-lucky, in the factor of dominance, whether the person is humble or assertive, whether a person is intelligent, less intelligent, or more intelligent. So likewise with that of the factor of tension also, we can see through 16 PF that whether a person is relaxed or tends to be very tensed, with discipline to self-discipline, whether the person is casual or controlled. So all this here, Cattell has given the 16 factors, personality factors, based on the factor analysis. Okay. Next theory is given by H.J. Eysenck. We can call it as Eysenck's theory. So H.J. Eysenck has proposed that personality could be reduced into two broad dimensions, which are based on biological and genetically governed, and each dimension subsumes a number of specific traits. So he has given these dimensions as neuroticism versus emotional stability. So neuroticism and emotional stability, he has said as verses in between. So again here he says about the opposites. So it refers to the degree of control people have on their feelings. So people who score high under neuroticism are anxious, moody, touchy, restless, distressed, irritable, and emotionally unstable. And the opposite low scores are calm, emotionally stable. Okay? Then there is extraversion versus introversion. It refers to the degree to which people are socially outgoing or socially withdrawn. So at one extreme are those who are active, gregarious, impulsive, and thrill-seeking. And on the other extreme, there are people who are passive, quiet, cautious, and reserved. And with this, in a later work, Eysenck proposed a third dimension called the psychoticism versus sociability. So, which is considered to interact with the other two dimensions. We can say that persons scoring high on psychoticism tends to be hostile, egocentric, antisocial, and the opposites are friendly and sociable. So a person who scores high on psychoticism dimension tends to be hostile, egocentric, and antisocial. An Eysenck personality questionnaire is the test which is used for studying these dimensions of personality. So there is another model of personality called as five-factor model of personality. So the controversy regarding the number of basic personality traits has taken an interesting turn in the recent years, where Paul Costa and Robert McCrae have examined all possible personality traits, and the findings indicate a set of five factors, and they are often called as big five factors. So these are useful and consistent in analyzing personality traits across cultures, languages, hence most promising empirical approach to study personality. So let me give a little tip over here, a small tip in fact. So in order to understand this and remember this from the exam point of view, remember ocean, OCEAN, because the factors which I will go through now, that will help you. Ocean will help you to remember. Why ocean? O for openness to experience, C for conscientiousness, E for extraversion, A for agreeableness, and N for neuroticism. So that is ocean. Now let us see what is this ocean. So when we say openness to experience, so those who score high on this are imaginative, curious, and open to ideas, interested in cultural pursuits. Opposites are cold and rigid. Extraversion, this one you all know by now, socially active, assertive, outgoing, talkative, and fun-loving. And opposites are shy. Agreeableness, one who scores high on agreeableness. So this factor characterizes people um, who are helpful, cooperative, friendly, caring, and nurturing. On the opposite are people who are hostile and self-centered. Next, it's neuroticism. People who score high on this factor are emotionally unstable, anxious, worried, fearful, distressed, irritable, and hypertensive. On the opposite side are people who are well adjusted and calm. And last is conscientiousness. So those who score high on this factor are achievement oriented, dependable, responsible, prudent, which means acting with or showing thought for the future, hardworking, and self-controlled. On the opposite are people who are very impulsive. Okay, so this five factor model represents an important theoretical development in the field of personality, and it has been found useful in understanding the personality profile of people across culture, which I told already. Last, let's move on to the interactional approach. Now, what is this interactional approach? So the interactional approach, this theory claims that situational characteristics play an important role in determining our behavior. So people may behave as dependent or independent not because of their internal personality trait, but because of external rewards or threats available in a particular situation. So the cross-situational consistency of traits is found to be quite low. So the compelling situations can be used to observe people's behavior in places like a market, a courtroom, or a place of worship. Okay, so basically, this is a compelling influence of situations which can be noted on the behavior of people in these certain places which has been just mentioned. To how a person will behave in this place. So that is what is interactional approach.